Hello YouTube, ZiggyNo here, and in this video I'm taking on GaryV. Not really taking on GaryV, but I'd love to have a sit down with him. Not tea with him, maybe a soda or coffee or something just between the two of us. No cameras, no audience, just Gary and I. And the reason I would have that time, if I could, is I'd ask Gary, what were you thinking with the sports card move? Let me explain. Look, I didn't know who GaryV was until about a few months ago when he did another video and did the card interview, where he sat down for about 2.5 hours here and talked about sports cards. Now, prior to that, I heard a rumor, I think it was a year ago, he talked about Giannis and recommended buying Giannis and talked about sports cards. And then, a few months ago, right before we had the March shutdown, he talked about how sports cards and the rise of sports cards and why he thinks there's going to be more and more sports cards coming out and so forth. And let me just first of all say I have great respect. Since I found out about GaryV, I've checked out his channel. I've watched some of his stuff. I think he's very inspirational. He's got great insight. He's a $160 million self-made millionaire. Can't knock that. I don't think there's a bad bone in his body. I don't think he has any ill intent. But I worry that GaryV has just sent a bunch of lemmings over a cliff in the sports card world. And let me try to explain to you why I feel that way. So first of all, if you go ahead and you're just, let's say you're new to the hobby and you like GaryV and he told you about sports cards and you Googled, GaryV sports cards, boom, here's what's going to come up for you, right? You see GaryV's video he did on sports cards. You're going to get a few advertisements for some other channels, right? Another one, some other GaryV videos. I'm going to talk about a few of these, but I think, again, you have to pay attention to if you're a novice and you came to this hobby and GaryV tells you go buy sports cards because it's interesting and it's a perfect way to make money, and you think about what's going on in the economy, people need to find a way to make money. What has this led to? Well, as I've been exploring the Facebook and YouTube underground and learning more about the content that's out there, I've stumbled across several new channels. I'm going to go ahead and talk about one of my favorite channels. I actually like the channels I'm going to talk about for one reason or the other. The Hobby Box. I like Boris. I think Boris has got a cool feel, got a great, I don't know what the word is. He's just got he got good music. He's fun. He's interesting. My kids and I like listening to him. I've liked to watch his rise in his channel. But when you listen to him, his first introduction he does in every one of his videos, he mentions GaryV, the rise of sports cards. GaryV's investing. That is, I like it, but to me, when I first heard it, it was a yellow flag, right? Then I started doing some more exploring, and the next guy I think I came across was KB Legends, and I came across him again through YouTube. KB Legends, another one who talks about GaryV, right? He's got GaryV in his videos, right? He's got pictures of GaryV. I turned hundreds into thousands doing GaryV sports cards. I was like, this is interesting. I listened to one of his videos, and his most recent ones, every one of them, he's pitching a subscription for $5 a month or $6 a month. So he'll tell you what cards to buy and sell. Now, I did some more research. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but what's your experience? What are you getting this experience to tell me which cards to buy and sell? You look at his videos and you scroll down here, right? A lot of cool content, very good with the art and production and stuff like that. But it seems like he just got into sports cards because most of his videos are on video games, right? So if you look back here, it turns out it was about a month ago. And again, I'm not knocking him, man. Welcome to the hobby. It's glad to have you in. I don't know, though, if coming into the hobby and then 1 month later selling advice to your 35,000 subscribers is the best thing to do. And I think more about those 35,000 subscribers than I do about you, because I worry that you're leading a bunch of those people off a cliff, right? Because this hobby, everybody doesn't make money in this, man. Okay, that is first fact that I will tell you. Everybody does not make money in the hobby. Part of that is that not everybody's intent is to make money, right? Some people's intent is just simply they collect because they love the sport, the game, player, whatever it is, right? Not everybody here is in that mountain looking for gold. Some people are finding a home, or right, they like the rocks, the scenery, whatever it might be. But telling everybody, hey, come make money in the hobby, that was a concern to me. So I follow KB every now and then. I listen to some stuff, but then I came across, I mentioned the Hobby Box, another one, Lyola, and I actually met Lyola or found her channel through another guy I mentioned, a PSA collector. Lyola, again, really cool channel, talks about budgeting, talks about the 5 cards going up, you know, has some good content. Again, if you look at her videos, subscribers are on the rise. But she's been doing these videos, I think, for about a few months, right? Because again, if you look back here, she was doing other things. She was doing fitness. And then just about 2 months ago, she's like, boom, I'm doing sports cards, right? So I understand that. We all, you know, change what's cool in our, you know, our passion or whatever. But it was in an interview that I heard on PSA Collector where she goes on when PSA Collector's asking, and this is a good question, well, what got you in the hobby? How long have you been collecting? Her answer was, you know, I've been in the hobby since January. I started collecting then. And I'm talking January 2020, right? So I have a dog. He's 2 years old. He's been watching me rip boxes and cards with my kids, you know, for 2 years. I'm not trying to be mean here, but there's a huge difference of knowledge, you know, whether you should be given tips on which cards to invest in or not. Again, I worry about the people who are listening to this message. I love the channel, like the player. I'm just worried about the game here. The last one I'll just mention as an example is PSA Collector. Again, PSA Collector, one of the fastest content providers in the hobby. And again, if you look at PSA Collector, he's done a lot of these interviews. He's had Loyola on. He's had here Alex Less and Hobbybox. He's very helpful, those people. But he's also very focused on monetizing his knowledge, right? His early videos were really cool. They were very informational. Now, you know, I kind of wonder, and again, the reason I mentioned him in GaryV is that he's a GaryV guy. He'll tell you in one of his interviews he did with House of Jordan, you know, what got you to doing this? What made you, you know, build all this? GaryV did. So Gary, I mean, I applaud you for helping these people get their side hustle on, but you understand what kind of side hustle you sent them into, right? There's sharks in this water too, man. And I just feel like part of the reason that we're seeing the boom that we've seen in the sports card, if you want to know why are sports cards going up in a very, very volatile market in the world, I'm going to go ahead and point to all the new people that have come in. And maybe it wasn't because they heard GaryV, but they probably heard from a friend, and that friend heard it from GaryV. So GaryV's influence has been incredible in this hobby. Is it good or bad? To me, this is why I'm saying Ziggy versus GaryV. Gary, I think you need to pump the brakes a little bit, or I don't know. I don't want to say you need to educate people, because then he's going to launch an education series and charge you to get an education on sports cards. I just want people to be more aware of what's going on. And I think Gary is aware as well. I'll close on this point. GaryV was supposed to do an interview. If you've been following Project 2020 by Topps, GaryV was going to do an interview with one of the artists, right? The artists were talking about it. It was the buzz in the Project 22 groups. Everybody's excited because this is going to pump it up, right? Everybody's going to know about it. And if you were in early, you're going to make bank, right? GaryV decided they suspended the interview indefinitely. They don't know when it's going to happen. It'll happen eventually, I think. But I think that's partially because GaryV looks at what's going on. If you look at the Project 2020 market, it is a bubble that's popped. Now, it's not totally popped. I mean, it was up to cards being, you know, $1,000, and those cards have come back down to $100. But I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, why was that? Why did that happen, right? I think, again, was a lot of new people came in the hobby, and they saw, you know, let me put it this way. In the beginning, for the first 20, 30 cards came out, no one was buying more than a couple thousand, right? But when those comps started hitting eBay and people started seeing, wow, this card's selling for a couple $100, then you saw the print runs going up because all those lemmings, I'll say, went out and started buying 10, 20, 30 Project 2020 cards, thinking they can flip them. Again, they think they hit a gold mine, back to, you know, my 1849 comparison. That, to me, you know, shows, hey, Gary's in touch. He knows what's going on. I think it was smart of him to hold back on that interview. As a collector, I don't want 200,000 print runs on products. Even as an investor, I don't want, you know, 200,000 print run on products. So I hope that we, you know, my message here in closing is just, guys, do some research. Remember, more people lose money in the hobby than make it, just like in the stock market, okay? A lot of people lose money in the stock market. This is not the same thing. Liquidity is not easy to come by. It's not easy to go sell out 100 Luca Silvers in one day and turn that into cash. It takes some time and effort to do that. It also takes some knowledge of the hobby. So I hope you appreciate this video. I hope you understand my point, where I'm coming from. I look forward to your comments. I'd love to have some good debates. I asked you to subscribe. Love to get those comments. Gary, if by any chance you ever watch this video, you know, peace, man, love, nothing personal. I think part of you would probably agree with what I'm trying to say here, and I really hope everybody, you know, enjoys the hobby. I hope everybody enjoys making money, and I hope you guys have a good time. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Ziggy out.